Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. We're going to do something a little different today. Usually don't have a Saturday video other than the album reaction every other week, and I figured since we had a free slot today, why not check out something some people have been asking about, and honestly, I'm a bit curious about. We're going to look at Polyphia's new track, Playing God. I've heard a couple of Polyphia songs in the past. They've been kind of hit and miss for me. Uh, and I guess we're just going to check out and see where this song lands for me personally. This is Playing God. Okay. It's got a nice darkness to it, but it's super funky with the rhythmic performance. That groove hits hard too. Drummers, I mean, everybody's killing it like usual, but I mean, love the drum work. I'm really curious if the drum's been processed at all though. Nice little interlude here from the complexity. Very Girl from Ipanema vibes. I think it's even the same key. Man, drummer just killing it like always. Oh, nice little modulation there. Bring back this idea from the beginning in a different timbre. Oh, whistles actually. Okay. I don't know that this is going to be much different of an analysis as the other two Polyphia tracks that I've checked out in the past. They do what they do very well. They craft a vibe and they play very laid back technical pieces. Laid back in atmosphere, technical and performance, of course. They make it look easy. At one point, one of the dudes was just laying down, eyes closed, and just shredding. So, I mean, there's definitely a laid back element to the performance as well, but typically we would not talk about this level of technicality and the speed and precision it's being performed as laid back. So they craft this vibe, they play technical laid back music within it, and they sort of infuse really groovy rhythmic components to be played or to sort of sit underneath all of that. And that's what they do very well. Everything I've checked out from them sort of fits that profile. And as far as I can tell, they're kind of alone in that. I mean, there's lots of bands that play, super technical stuff. This is, as far as I can see it, an offshoot of math rock. But at the same time, I can't say I've heard anything that sounds like Polyphia. I haven't really referenced Polyphia when talking about any other band, and I don't think I've heard anything even in my own time where I'm like, oh, that feels like Polyphia. That feels like something they're doing. They're very unique on the scene right now as far as what I've heard. And like I said, they do what they do well. They sit in their own little world, and for better or worse. But this feels again to me like some of the things I leveraged against Goat when we checked that out twice now. I think Goat was in my revisit week when I looked back on songs that I might have been a bit harsh on. I'm pretty sure Goat was one of those, but it's technical to a fault. Or I suppose I should say possibly that I'm just not the target audience of this. And this is something that's popped up in other bands, like when we've checked out Meshuggah in the past. I'm not somebody who really enjoys hyper technical music. The technicality needs to be paired with something uh, else. I can appreciate it for what it's going for. My jaw will drop looking at it, viewing the presentation, especially if it's a live situation and I get to actually see the performance firsthand. There's something extremely impressive about the musicianship about it. And like I've said before about Polyphia, I don't want to detract that. There's a lot of skill and time commitment put into not only playing at this level, but also crafting this specific sound. This is, at least to my ears, a type of playing that, like I said, is an offshoot of math rock, but is also something that I just highly correlate to Polyphia. I'd almost say that they invented this genre of, I don't know, what is this, like trap beats with super technical, jazzy chord progressions and super technical performance. Like I don't even know how to really classify it. It's a lot of influences brought together, and again, like I said, I don't want to take away anything that they've accomplished or that they are accomplishing in this track. It is certainly beyond my skill on a performance level. I don't want anyone to think that I'm talking down about Polyphia, but I also just don't think I'm the target audience because I prefer to have something else paired with my technical playing. And the thing is too is that I really enjoyed the first half, which is kind of a weird way to talk about this. Um, I really loved the melodic component that we saw in the beginning. I thought it had some really nice groove to it that we were hearing in the percussive section, but it also had some really strong melody within the technical aspect, and I just thought all of it came together very well. Again, maybe not something I check out on my own, but definitely in the right direction for Polyphia creating music that personally appeals to me. It it has like I said, a real great flow to it, melodically and rhythmically. Plus, there was that technical aspect. It was pretty much a very strong combination of the three. And then we hit a halfway point and we shifted styles. We didn't shift keys, and a lot of our notes, our key notes in the main melody line were similar. There's a lot of carryover from the first section to the second, but to me, the vibe changed. It seemed to focus a bit more on the technical aspect rather than a melodic aspect. And I can appreciate that. You know, the few times that it panned over, I mean, the drums had a huge chance to shine here. You know, they had a technical aspect in the first half, but in the second half, there were a couple of drum fills. Moments where the drum was really given the spotlight rather than just a technical part that played underneath the guitars. So the drums got a chance to spotlight. A few times that the camera panned across some of the guitar work, they were all over the neck. Whereas with the first section, it seemed that they were sort of sitting within a range of the neck, which again, I think helped them play a melody line that was more melodically focused. They worked within just a couple of octaves rather than several. It allowed the entire first section to feel interconnected, whereas the second section felt a bit more flashy and technical. And that could have been the purpose of it. But it definitely means that the first half of the song appealed to me more. Which is an interesting thing to say because, like I said, the second half is certainly the same key, the same style. Like I said, a lot of the core notes they're going for. So if we look at just the chord notes that emphasize the key they're in, and we look at that, we land on and stay on a lot of the same notes across these two. It almost feels like the second section is more of a variation of ideas found in the first. There is a lot of correlation between these two ideas. It's just the composition of the second half went for more of a technical aspect. And that's fine. Just not really my cup of tea. But on the other side of the equation, though, I really loved having the drums given a chance to shine just because I love this drummer. He blows my mind. I mean, everybody does. Everybody in this band is super talented. I hope I've made that clear. I'm not trying to, talk down to anybody in this band, but the drums always speak to me, even in Polyphia, which I think I had the most criticism for. It was also my introduction to them, so I might not have even been in the right mindset for them. But even in Polyphia, the drums I had nothing but praise for. Just really fantastic drum work. This drummer just speaks to me. It's a very melodic style of drumming where it's not so much about keeping the time of the metronome, or the time like a metronome, which the drummer does do in some part of his performance. There is always a metronomic beat somewhere in the drumming. But it's just this really beautiful, flowing, melodic style of playing drums where it's not so much about playing on the beat to be the metronome, but about being another instrument with the guitars and the bass. It's just a really beautiful style of drumming, and it's something that I typically write in my own drum parts. I'm not real big on just rigid metronomic drum parts. You know, coming from a classical background, I'm used to having a wide variety in the auxiliary percussion to use the percussion in other ways than rhythmic and meter. So when I've come to writing rock music, I also apply that there. It's a more melodic style of playing the drum kit. And it's something that even drew me to Umgwa a couple of weeks ago. I mean, I think I feel like I'm bringing this band up a lot, but seriously, the drumming on this album blew my mind. And it's just immediately what I think of right now when I think of melodic drumming. The use of the entire kit to do more than just play rhythmic components. And this guy just takes it to the next level, though. Absolutely love it. I could gush about the drumming of the goat drummer, Polyphia's drummer all day. Might as well call him the goat drummer. He's definitely up there with people like Matt Gartzka. Just blows my mind with the way that they use the drum as another melodic instrument in the band rather than an exclusively percussive one. Um, and so, what does the song say to me? And I think this is my biggest hangup with Polyphia. For all of the technical aspects in it, and even the groove and melodic components that we hear in this one, I don't really find too much of an emotional connection with what they're playing, which, completely admit, is on me. I'm not finding a connection with their music. But a lot of the songs that we look at on this channel, before we dive into lyrics, which of course this song doesn't have any, I'll explain the story that the music is telling me through the themes that we're exploring and the way that the different instruments are being used. And we compare that to the very usually more blatant story being told in the lyrics, since that is language. The words have meaning, and we see how we can compare them. And with Polyphia, I find it really difficult to talk about anything like that. The emotion is just chill and groovy. And it's, in that sense, I kind of relate it more to dance music than anything else, because it seems that the express purpose is just to write cool music. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I just have a trouble connecting with it because I don't feel the emotional element. And you guys hit me up in the comments, right? Let me know if you do feel something emotional out of this, other than just a chill groove. Because, like I said, there's nothing wrong with that, but it doesn't tell me a story. It gives me a vibe. It's more like a plot. I don't know what happened, but I kind of know what's going on. The plot kind of prepares you to see the movie or to read the book. And this one, I'm like, okay, we're in a chill groove, but why? What's the story here? What's the point of being in the chill groove? And maybe it doesn't have one. Like I said, it could be very close to like electronic dance music, which doesn't really have a point other than to have a strong beat and to be consistent so that people can dance to it, right? And again, not throwing shade there. Music has a lot of purposes. And obviously I'm applying more of a critical artistic lens to this that maybe it's not necessarily created for, in which case I'm approaching it from the wrong mindset. But that's how I feel with a lot of Polyphia stuff, is that my jaw drops listening to it. It is phenomenal performance, everything I've listened to, and I can't deny that they've crafted this own style here. Or maybe not if crafted it, definitely made it popular. Like I said, Polyphia is the first time I've been introduced to anything like this. Um, but the music just never really hits me as anything other than technically impressive. Um, and I guess the last thing I want to talk about, it's more of a question, kind of lining up with hit me up in the comments, let me know what's going on, is the drumming. It stood out to me a lot. I really thought it was going to shift somewhere. In fact, once I noticed this, I had to look specifically at the drums to see if they were even playing. Everything in here is very electronic, more so than I remember in Goat. Goat had more of these. What is this, like a trap rhythm? I don't know. It's definitely not standard rock ideas, with a lot of emphasis on rolled closed hi-hat hits, and bass heavy punchiness, especially from the bass kick. It feels very hip hop to me, and I think trap is the specific genre from hip hop or electronic, somewhere in there, that this style of drum beat comes from. And in Goat, I remember it was interesting hearing this style of drumming on an acoustic kit. But here, the kit doesn't feel acoustic at all. It sounds very electronic. And I even asked during the video, is it processed at all? And I'm real curious where that's coming from. Is this a custom drum kit? It doesn't look electronic, so we're not playing MIDI and running it into a DAW to modify it. This is acoustic, so it's being recorded this way. And then are we processing it in a DAW, or is there something special about his kit that changes the timbres of all of these? They don't sound full on electronic. It's not like he's using, like an 8-bit virtual instrument, an 8-bit drum kit virtual instrument kind of vibe. There's still an acoustic quality to it. but I don't think I've ever heard an acoustic kit sound like this. There's there's extra compression put on it. There's just little elements that don't feel natural to an acoustic drum kit, and I'm just super curious about that. I don't have any thoughts about it. It's just something that really stood out to me. And like I said, I even had to look to see if he was drumming because I felt like maybe this was going to be the first 20 or 30 seconds where this was an electronic drum kit. And then he comes in after that and plays the same thing. Like, oh man, that didn't sound humanly possible. And here he's going tearing it up. And we shift timbres from the electronic to the acoustic. And that didn't happen. When I looked, he was playing it from start to finish. So, I'm curious if this is something he's done to his acoustic kit to make it sound like this, or if it's being processed post recording to give it this more electronic edge. It doesn't really change anything about the song, just again, something I'm curious about. So, I guess those are all my thoughts on Polyphia's Playing God. I really enjoyed the beginning. The second half was impressive, just didn't strike me as strongly. And overall, it's an interesting song that I'm glad I've listened to, but probably won't be revisiting for many of the reasons that Polyphia is a band I don't really have an urge to go out and listen to an album's worth of stuff from. Although I probably should at some time, just to give them the benefit of the doubt. It could be that having only listened to singles, I'm missing on some really strong compositional aspects outside of the groove and atmosphere that they, in their singles at least, are experts at creating. Maybe once this new album well, they call it a new single. I wonder if this is going to be on a new album. If a new album comes out, that'll probably be a good time for me to jump in, but I suppose if one isn't announced soon, I'll just dive into their most recent one eventually and finally give them a chance and see what else they're about. Outside of their singles, which I've spoken about in the past, singles have purpose outside of the music. The point of a single is to draw people in, which means it's not always about the art, it's about viewership and retaining and making new fans. Some people don't write music with that in mind, but that's something that could come into play when creating a single. So it's possible that some of the stuff on the album is going to be a little bit more, or it could be in a different direction than the stuff I've heard so far. Anyways, I think I've rambled on too long about this. You guys hit me up in the comments. I've asked a lot of questions. If you guys could go ahead and answer those. If you agree with me, if you disagree, anything you want to add to the conversation, go ahead and let me know. I'm real curious where everybody else stands on this, and also maybe someone could help me become more of a Polyphia fan. Like I said, I'm in awe of their performance, their musicianship. Maybe there's just a one piece of the composition that I'm missing that'll really make me enjoy it more. Above the description box is a link to Linktree. Above the comment section is the description box, which has a link to Linktree. It takes you to this menu, everything related to the channel. You can pick up merch, join the Patreon, follow me on Twitter, all sorts of stuff. Go ahead and check it out. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I'd greatly appreciate all three of those. That wraps it up for today. Patrons, you have a live stream tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to look for the link for that. Otherwise, everyone else, Monday, I'll be back at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC. We're going to start off this week with sludge metal. All right, until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.